I wish I lived a life true to myself, not the life that others expected of me. Best-selling author Bronnie Ware reason that people regret at the end of their lives. Now, call me crazy, but wouldn't it be great to figure this out before it's too late? I did that. It was just like any other day. Alarm clock went off at 35 years old, and I couldn't get out of bed. I just sat there wondering, how many days am I going to wake up feeling this way? I had designed a life that was going to bring me the ultimate happiness. And I would lie away. I chose a career that would bring me respect and stability, and serious kudos, by the way. But 3 years in, I became so burnt out that I hated being a dentist. I would lie awake at night worrying about getting sued or getting in trouble. I went from being proud to say, I'm a dentist, to not even wanting to admit what I did for a living when I talked to strangers. I woke up every day feeling this sense of despair. And on this one day, I had a vision of myself at 65 years old, waking up the same way. Only this time, 30 years of my life were behind me, wasted because I didn't have the courage to live a life true to myself. That vision of myself inspired me to rise up out of bed and take those first few steps to creating life on my terms. I followed a process that allowed me to listen to myself and reconnect with my creativity, and I got into action. And along the way, I realized that there were so many others who felt just like I did. So I began to help them and coach them to design their lives on their terms as well. Today, we will cover how we got stuck here and what we can do to break free so that you can wake up in your final years excited about your life instead of feeling regret. Now, okay, before I go any further, I do have a confession to make. I quit dentistry. Oh my God, I can't believe I just said that at a dental conference. Isn't that like the weirdest thing to say at a dental conference? And that was my truth. I needed that. And that may not be true for any of you. In fact, if you love dentistry, I love that. It's less I have to do, and that's great. But really, this is not about dentistry. This is about the quality of your life. Let's take a look at how we get here. When we're kids, we're not afraid to dream. But over time, for many of us, that creativity gets beaten out of our hearts with expectations of being responsible and doing what other people want from you. And now I bet most of you, when you chose a career in dentistry, no matter what role you picked, you probably got a lot of praise, right? Like, people were excited for you, and that felt good. When we get praise, it makes us feel important and valuable. And then we begin to see that we can just pour into our identities, our career identities, and we don't have to invest in any other parts of our lives. Now that's great, except what if you get here and this isn't the life you expected it to be? Or it was at first, and then that changes. What happens is, because we have not invested in ourselves, our whole selves, and we've only invested in our work identities, we end up feeling like we have no skills and we have no interests. And so we end up afraid of who we will be and who we will become and who we will let down if we change any part of this identity. That's how we get here. Now imagine waking up every day knowing that you are more than your work. I'm going to share with you 3 steps that I took that you can take too if you're feeling the same way. Number 1, listen to yourself. And start with the small things. I don't know, like, what do you want for dinner tonight, okay? And, oh, by the way, nobody is allowed to say, oh, I don't care, whatever you want. No. Practice listening to yourself, trusting your decision, and following through so you can honor what you really want. And if it's not Tuesday and you want tacos, do it anyway. Practice this with the small things. And then when you get to the bigger questions, it's easier to answer them. Like, what do you want from your work, or what do you want from your personal life? So you can take this newfound knowledge of yourself and then do step number 2, which is reconnect with your creativity. Now, this doesn't have to be something fancy like playing the guitar or painting. Those things are awesome, but not everyone can do that. I started a blog, and I had never written, but it wasn't about the writing. It was about the creative thinking. And I saw that I knew I had to collect stories. So I opened up my awareness to seeing my world around me differently. And that showed me different possibilities. Now, you may not want to share your thoughts with the public, so you can write in a journal. Or maybe you don't even want to write. Go outside, clear your head, and notice when a thought comes into your mind and challenge it. What would the opposite thought be? When you open up your thinking, your world will shift from black and white to beautiful shades of gray. And then you can take step 1 and step 2 and pour that into step number 3, which is start a side gig or a hobby. I promise you, when you bring something else into your life that you love, and you have one of those days where you come home, a schedule full of patients who are afraid to swallow their own spit, you'll let it go. And it doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, you know what? Screw finding your passion, because passion involves obsession and commitment. And if you give yourself those standards, you will never move forward. Instead, get curious. Explore with no strings attached. And you may just find that if you have a little fun, you may find your passion. One of my clients, she was really not enjoying work, and she decided to take Korean lessons. She loved it, and that inspired her to go and enroll in a Lean Six Sigma business course. She just couldn't even finish it. But it was great because she learned about herself. She learned what she liked and didn't like, and she went and got her teaching certification, and now she still shows up at the same job happier. What is it that drives you? For one of my clients, it was her daughters. She wanted to raise her girls into strong women who were not willing to settle for just being fine. For me, it was that vision of myself at 65 years old. And that vision inspired me to get to know myself and align my life with that. And it's a good thing I did, because in August of 2018, I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. My world fell apart around me. Now, luckily, I'm in remission, woohoo! Thank you. But I've faced my mortality. And I didn't get cancer and then get regret. I'd already asked the tough questions in my life. I have looked death in the face, and I know what it's like to not have this number 1 regret. And this is what I wish for all of you, that in your final days, that you can wake up feeling not regretful, but feeling gratitude that you had the courage to choose a life on your terms.